We don't know what the subject is.
You'll hear. Listen, it'll be in the beginning.
So our topic is regarding immigration reform. Resolve: the United States' current immigration system is broken. Steps need to be taken to begin addressing it by adopting the U.S. DREAM Act of 2011. The Development, Relief, and Education for Alien Minor Act, or DREAM Act, would grant certain undocumented students permanent residency in the U.S. and provide a path to citizenship. Number one, undocumented students currently have very limited access to existing resources and education. According to the Immigration Policy Center, each year approximately 65,000 undocumented students graduate from high school. Many of them at the top of their classes but cannot go to college, join the military, work, or otherwise pursue their dreams. Immigration Policy Center also states that because of the barriers to their continued education, many undocumented students are discouraged for applying to college. It is estimated that only between 5 to 10% of undocumented high school graduates go to college, not because they don't want to, but because they cannot afford it, or because some schools will not allow them to enroll. Number two, undocumented students have a hard time finding good-paying jobs even after graduating with degrees. The New York Times reported on a student by the name of Isabel Castillo and her struggles trying to get a job after graduating from the University of Virginia with high honors. To save money for college, she spent years working 7 days a week from 9:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. at a local restaurant. By the time she had finished college, she had no money left and her prospects were no better than what she had when they had been in high school. So she moved back to the trailer park where she lives with her older sister and her sister's son. She is currently still working as a waitress, getting paid under the table, waiting for the day that the DREAM Act gets passed. Recently, another case, a more recent case in Rhode Island, which became the 13th state to allow in-state tuition fees for illegal immigrants. Recently Rhode Island became the 13th state to allow for in-state tuition fees for illegal immigrants. However, with this state policy in place, Terry Gorman, Executive Director of Rhode Island for Immigrants Law Enforcement, in the Winona Daily News article stated that the policy change offers students in the U.S. false hopes about the post-graduation prospects. This is going to be an educated population that can't do anything with their education because they're illegal aliens. What can they do? They can't work. And number three, undocumented students face the risk of being deported. Many of them have lived in the United States their entire lives, where they attended school from kindergarten to 12th grade. They have been raised as Americans and are American and have American dreams. Unfortunately, many of these young students are being deported into countries they barely know. In 2010, an ABC News reported on a Harvard student who grew up in Texas since the age of 4. He faced the possibility of being deported before he was able to start his sophomore year. Eric Valderas, 19, was detained by immigration officials when he tried to board a plane to go visit his mom in Texas. Harvard did come to his defense and pressed that the passage of the DREAM Act, for the passage of the DREAM Act. But there are thousands of students just like Eric in the United States who face this current situation. And most recently, in the case of a U.S. Santa Barbara student, Cindy Reyna, she was arrested and taken into custody not that long ago, actually last Tuesday. And she's now in the Santa Barbara County Jail. This was her last year, and she was supposed to graduate in June, and now she's not able to, and she's waiting trial. So the current immigration system is what causes harm, and it's not taking any steps towards reform. The current system that is implemented has a lack of resources that they provide to undocumented students. Currently, only 13 states provide the opportunity for undocumented students to pay for state tuition fees. California is one of them. However, if you are an undocumented student who lived in Arizona and was attending ASU, you would probably end up paying as much as $12,000 more for out-of-state tuition fees, according to collegestats.org. The immigration policy states that if students cannot prove legal residency in the state, they must pay a much higher out-of-state international fee, student tuition rates, and they would not qualify for federal student loans, work study, or even financial aid. Without either of these financial aid or in-state tuition fees, it is almost impossible for many students to afford to go to a public university. The Immigration Policy Center adds that almost 40% of undocumented students live under the poverty line, and the average income of those families are 40% lower than their legal immigrant counterparts. And then undocumented students do not have proper documentation needed to be able to work or go to school legally in the United States. Many undocumented students were brought to the U.S. at a very young age by their parents. These children have grown up culturally American with little to no attachment to their country of birth. Without proper documentation, they take the risk of being deported every single day. Obtaining proper documentation is not as easy as you may believe. According to the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, if applying for a visa or citizenship, one must be at least 18 years of age and cannot have entered the country illegally. If an adult wishes to legally obtain a visa after having entered without permission, he or she must return to their country of origin and wait a minimum of 10 years. Even then, there's no guarantee that they will be accepted and they will have a visa. The application is a long process that requires a lot of time. For some people, this is simply not possible. There is no other way to legally enter the United States for them. Entrance into the country is neither simple nor readily available for these people. According to Julie Erfel, writer for Politics Uncuffed, Mexican citizens were granted only 375 non-family related work visas in 2009. And this compare this number to the unskilled workers needed to bring winter lettuce crop in Yuma, which is 30,000. By adopting the DREAM Act of the U.S. DREAM Act, the U.S. would be one step closer towards immigration reform. The DREAM Act will give certain undocumented students the opportunity to pursue the path to legal citizenship, as long as they fit the criteria outlined. Young people must meet several requirements in order to qualify for conditional status. It will provide them. These requirements include entering the country when they were under 16 years of age, providing them with proving that they continuously lived in the United States for at least 5 years, and so on and so on. And it is estimated that out of the 2.1 million students that actually are undocumented, only 825,000 students will actually obtain legal residency. And then also, the DREAM Act will not only benefit those students just mentioned, but it will also benefit our economy, and the U.S. will be more competitive in the global economy. The Secretary of Education, Arne Duncan, has stated that the passing of the DREAM Act will allow these young people to live up to their fullest potential and contribute to the economic growth of the country. According to the non-bipartisan Congressional Budget Office, the DREAM Act in the current form...
I've got to cut you off. You're a minute over.
Okay. Can I say the conclusion?
Sure.
Okay. To conclude, it is no secret that our current immigration system is broken and needs to be fixed. The DREAM Act will give the opportunity to thousands, if not millions, of American-bred youth the opportunity to pursue their dreams. Unless we reform the process for obtaining legal status in this country, people will keep on finding ways to enter the U.S. illegally. The DREAM Act is a compromise that needs to be accepted, and it's a step closer towards immigration reform.